We've noticed a big increase in couples looking for marquee companies over the last few weeks, and it's easy to see why. So 6 reasons why we think marquees are going to be so popular over the next year or so. Number 1, we're really enjoying getting outside at the moment, and we know that the government are a lot more comfortable about gatherings of larger groups outside. So certainly for the rest of 2020 and quite possibly into 2021, it's quite likely that the regulations will be more relaxed if the function is outside. Number 2, that extra flexibility from being able to expand or decrease the space. Now, we don't know what the regulations are going to be from the point of view of numbers, but we're fairly sure it will be in line with everything else. In other words, it's however many it is safe to socially distance within that area. So it makes sense that with marquees, where you can expand them as much as you like by just adding extra modules on, that you've got all of that extra flexibility that you need. And equally, if you need to decrease the size, so if your guest list has decreased, if regional restrictions have meant that you're going to have less guests there, or you're just wanting to shrink your wedding down, your marquee company really won't mind. They really are very, very flexible on what that final size marquee needs to be. So the next reason is that flexibility on changing rules. We still don't have clear regulations on how things are going to work. And we think that things will just keep changing over the next year as people understand more about the virus. So, for example, having that flexibility to have extra toilet space that comes with marquees, extra hand washing, extra outside furniture, adding a bar in each corner so that you don't have a backlog of people. These sort of things are quite difficult to do within a normal venue, but by adding to the venue with a marquee within the grounds, or if you're lucky enough to have somewhere you can put a marquee up at home, that will give you that extra flexibility there on being able to follow all of the rules and regulations. Now, an interesting one that not many people know about is that the Law Commission have been looking into marriage laws and how they might be changed in the future. And these changes were due to potentially start coming in the summer of 2021, possibly now delayed till 2022. And one of the things that they were looking into is whether weddings could take place outdoors. Now, it is complete speculation. But at the moment, both Northern Ireland and Scotland allow weddings outdoors, so it would certainly make sense for England and Wales to follow suit. So for those in England and Wales, you might just find that that option opens up. And again, that's where if you've got a marquee wedding, it's that perfect flow from wherever your beautiful outside spot is that you've chosen for your wedding ceremony to then just come into the marquee for the reception. So the other reason for 2021 that you might be considering a marquee when you weren't already is that the venues are getting really, really heavily booked up. So the popular venues are almost all booked up for Saturdays now, and they're continuing to postpone some of their couples from this year. That will continue to happen with more brides wanting to book. So if you find you can't book your preferred venue, speak to them about whether you can put a marquee up in the grounds. Some of them do allow it, so they can have a wedding happening within the venue and they have large enough grounds for it not to affect that wedding at all, by allowing you to be in a walled garden or another area within the venue. You can still then use the venue caterers or potentially bring in your own caterers. So just think about that. If your venue is fully booked, just ask if you can explore that as an option. And the final thing is that this is a big thumbs up to the marquee companies. One of the reasons that we feel that marquee weddings are going to be so popular is they have looked after their couples so well this year. All of the marquee companies that we have spoken to have been letting their couples postpone free of charge to the date that they were choosing for next year, unless there was a very, very good reason that they couldn't have that date next year. But on the whole, they were allowing them to postpone with absolutely no penalties. If it was a Saturday in August this year, they were moving them to a Saturday in August next year, really, really looking after their clients well. And I think that sort of customer care really does then build on confidence. So couples booking now who want that extra extra comfort and flexibility of knowing that there won't be any quibbles. They will just be able to move to 2022 or 2023 if things aren't looking right for next year or later on this year. I think that gives that extra reassurance. I would just say that there are inevitably in any industry, there are the great businesses and the not so great businesses. I'd really encourage you to choose from our recommended suppliers. That is not to say that marquee companies that aren't on our lists aren't great. It's just those that are on our list we personally have spoken to and we are really happy to recommend to you. So please just bear that in mind, particularly if you get a very inexpensive quote. You want to make sure the marquee company turns up on the week of your wedding. There could be nothing worse. So please, please, please book a reputable company. Make sure that it has come through some degree of recommendation or from a reputable source like Guides for Brides. So I really hope that's been helpful. Thanks very much indeed.